Hello and welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We want to tell the stories of people, their businesses, and the journey that they are on. Our purpose is to gather a new perspective on starting, growing, maturing, and maintaining businesses of all sizes. So grab that cup of coffee, sit back, and join us as we start this conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Sarah Harbuck, and with me is Kristin Ellis.
Good morning.
And today's guest is Kellsey Saltzman. Hello, Kellsey.
Hello.
All right, Kellsey is a makeup artist. And Kellsey, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your business?
Well, I have been a makeup artist for probably been about 11 years now.
Oh.
I started whenever I was in high school, actually. I got a job at a makeup store. And that job just led me to the career that I have. It was a huge blessing. So that just evolved and shaped into what I do now. So
Nice.
I remember that because it was Makeup Junkies, right?
It sure was,
Yes.
yeah.
And so that was the only store in town that sold the foundation that I really liked, which was at the time Bare Minerals. And I remember coming in and talking to you
yes.
and the owner on several occasions.
Yeah,
So
nice.
that was
And
a-
for those of you who are listening and not watching, her makeup is flawless.
Yes.
Aw, thank
Yes.
you.
So that
Very
speaks,
jealous.
speaks to her skills. Yes.
Thank you.
So you started a career in makeup because of this job. Had you played around with it on your own at home? Or did the interest really start when you started that job?
It for sure started when I started the job.
Okay.
So I always liked like feminine stuff. I loved like getting dressed up and fixing my hair and just being a girl. That was always
Yeah,
fun to me.
yeah.
So getting the job though just kind of opened up that book of like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like I would just my boss was so sweet. She would give us like the testers, you know, after we would sell stuff and it was done with like Christmas holiday stuff. She would send it home with us. And so I remember like getting this eyeshadow palette and just taking it home and like for hours just playing with it, trying new looks. And so then that just evolved into like people would want me to do their makeup and, you know, like I kind of got more comfortable with it. And then that evolved into, hey, I like the way you did my shadow. Can you do my makeup for my wedding? And so it just transitioned from one thing into another. And then from there, I was like, oh, man, maybe this is a passion that I want to pursue as a career. So I ended up going to cosmetology school after I graduated high school. So it just, I was so blessed. I got a scholarship to go to cosmetology school. So that was paid for. I mean, it was all just like, it just fell into my lap because I literally had no idea what I wanted to do when I graduated. So I just thought, oh, I'll be a teacher, you know, just something like that. And
yeah.
so it was, gosh, looking back, it was such a blessing. So
It's kind of serendipitous. It all just sort of happened.
Who knew a
on
part-time
its
job
own.
at a makeup store could lead to an actual
Right.
full-on makeup artist career?
Yeah,
Yes.
owning your own business and everything. That's
Right.
really cool. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Looking back, it's like, wow, that was all in God's hands. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Did you start by posting pictures on like social media and like people go, oh wow, Kellsey, your makeup looks amazing. Can you do mine?
Was it word of mouth or did you do any sort of marketing type
You know,
of?
I can't really recall like doing a whole lot of marketing because that wasn't as big of a thing as it is like now.
Sure.
I mean, we had like Facebook, but Instagram wasn't a thing that I can recall. But so yeah, I would do people's makeup and then like say some of my friends that were seniors in high school, they'd be like, hey, can you do my makeup for my senior pictures? I would do that, and then that picture would turn into hey, can you do my makeup for this occasion or whatever
Yeah,
for prom or that sort of thing. So I think it was more of like a word of mouth thing.
Yeah.
And then it ended up where, you know, I took advantage of social media. I would take pictures and things like that. Or I always loved getting pictures back from weddings that I could post because obviously that's not my skill, taking pictures. But I can ask if I can use somebody else's picture, you know, that sort of thing. So I did take advantage of that.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I've seen a few of on Amanda Tucker. We interviewed her a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the stuff you've done. Wow,
Yeah. And she's so great at what she does. So then it helps me, get the pictures. So
I mean, there's definitely a symbiotic relationship with makeup artists and photographers because, you make the clients look so amazing and then we take the pictures and then we can give them to you and it promotes both businesses at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's so cool how that industry just oh gosh, it all just jives so well.
Yeah.
You find somebody that can help you and you help them and it's great.
It just works for everybody.
Yep, it really does.
So you went to cosmetology school and got a license, and is that required in the state of Texas to become a makeup artist?
It's not. No. I know, it's very shocking, isn't it? Because I always think gosh, a makeup artist deals with more bodily fluids and stuff, than any other.
And you're right up in
safety
someone's
reasons.
face.
For safety, sanitary. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But no, in Texas you don't. Now, if you're gonna be an esthetician, do more skincare, facials, you do have to have a license for that. But just to be a freelance makeup artist, you don't. Wow. So yeah,
the things you learn.
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah, I actually went to cosmetology school, and since I just did makeup, it took me a while. I didn't go and immediately get my license after I graduated. I was so intimidated with hair that I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, and I don't have to get my license in order to do my job that I'm doing
what
now.
You really want to do.
Yeah. So I waited a while and took my test, and then started pursuing hair a little bit more after that. So
you also are a hairstylist on top of being a
yeah,
makeup
I
artist.
do that as well. So that just kind of feels, whenever you're doing makeup in a smaller town, you can't do it fully and make a career just out of that. I mean, if I lived in a bigger city,
if you were down and around Houston or
there
would be a more opportunities.
Or Hollywood, Hollywood sets.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If I traveled in. But I do makeup on the weekends is really when I do that more often. A few days of the week here and there, bridal portraits and things like that. But mainly on the weekends. And so then I fill the rest of my week with doing hair and cuts and colors and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's kind of a twofold job anyway. Hair and makeup seems to be like a partnership.
It does.
So I would think that would be a natural thing.
Yes, and it's so, I hear more times than not, brides will come to me and say, can you do my makeup for my wedding? And then they'll say, do you do hair also? And I'm like, yeah, I do hair as well. And I think they really love that they can come to me for both and not have to flip, go here, go there, and
have a million appointments with different people. That's so stressful you're getting wedding, on your wedding day. Or for pictures.
It does. It works out really well. So.
Yeah, that's great. What are you? Okay, so you do makeup, you do hair. Are there any other specific services that you offer? Because you mentioned skincare. Do you do anything along those lines?
No, not that much. I mean, I do waxing at the salon, that sort of thing. But just mainly, I like the just the cosmetic side of it, I guess. I don't really care for skincare and all that kind of stuff. That's not really my thing. But just making people look good and feel good, that side of it.
The kind of artistic part of it, the transformation. Exactly. That's my fascination with makeup is the way you can make people look different and it makes them feel different.
Yep.
And it's just a really I don't know, have y'all ever seen some of the stuff that drag queens do? They change their skeletal structure. It's incredible. It's amazing.
I am blown away by the level of skill it takes.
Yes.
And the just absolute night and day.
Yeah, the detail and the color theory behind it.
The contouring and the highlighting.
More.
I don't understand any of that, clearly, if you could see my face right now. But I have started following a few makeup artist influencers on TikTok. I know I'm too old to be on TikTok, but I am because I love the funny cat and dog videos. And some of the people on there, I mean, I'm watching them do their makeup and I'm like, how do they do that? They can change the way their entire face looks.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does. It's an artistry more than just, I just jump in my bathroom, slap, sponge some makeup on and powder it up and then I'm out the door,
I just tell my husband, I got to go throw some spackle on real quick.
Yeah. Fill up all these pores, But like for people like you, it's like watching them with a paintbrush.
It is. It's like watching an artist work. I love watching makeup artists do their thing.
Sometimes people will ask me to like, hey, can you do a tutorial? And I'm all about that. But then I think, gosh, am I explaining this well? Because what goes on in your head, it's so hard to get it out sometimes. And I'm not a teacher, so I try to explain it the best way I can. But then I'm like, and then they'll say, well, why do you use this brush for this? And I'm like, how do you not understand this?
Because it's what works best for what I'm trying to do.
I'm like,
because you've been in the industry for over a decade, and I did photography for almost 20 years. Like you forget what it's like to be a beginner.
Yeah.
And so when you try to explain it to somebody else and they're like, you just said gibberish to me. You're like, oh.
You would explain a lens to me and I'd be like, what? I don't understand. What is that? What does that even mean?
But like all these numbers you just spouted out to me, like it's Greek.
Yes.
And when you say use this brush versus this brush, to me they look the same.
Yeah.
And to me that's like it's like night and day.
Like,
why would you even think to use that brush for that? I don't know. Like, but for me it all makes perfect sense. So it's so funny. I have an older and a younger sister, and my younger understands it a little bit better. My older sister, she does not get it. And I try to, I'm like, she's a nurse, so she doesn't have to wear makeup, so, and she doesn't really. If I put it on her, she will, but she's just, she does not understand it.
I see these people with this flawless skin where they barely look like they have any pores. They have no acne scars. They don't have any of these weird bumps all over their face. And I'm just like, that's goals right there. But I don't have those genetics.
It's never going to happen for me.
So I got to cover it up. And there's the argument from some people like, well, that's just not natural. That's not how you look. I've seen people do their makeup so naturally that it just enhances their features. They didn't do all this,
Well, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I mean, for me at least, I don't wear makeup for other people.
Yeah.
I wear it for me. But having that time to like sit there and like, it's my me time.
Right.
And I go and I play with me. Like it's not something that I feel like I have to go out in public. But I feel more confident. I feel better. I had that like preparation time. It's almost like a ritual type of thing. Like
it kind of brings on the day. Like
yeah.
Do you find that's kind of accurate for you as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more awake when I have makeup on.
Exactly.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yes, I feel more awake and alert and like ready to face whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, call it a mask if you want to call it that. I put on
on a couple masks.
I'm covering up my social anxiety mask, and it's ready. I'm ready to face the world.
It should be something that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But it's not overpowering you.
Right.
I've always looked at it that way. Like I want people to look like themselves, but just be more enhanced. Like, feel good, but not so much that it's like, whoa, who is that person?
Yeah. So you've been in the industry for quite a while. I'd say a decade is a nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
What are you've I'm sure seen makeup trends change in that time, and so what are some trends that you're glad are gone, and what are some trends now that you really like have latched onto that you really enjoy using?
Well,
is that too much of a question?
No. I think back people try to be a little too like vibrant and some things like blue eyeshadow and things like that. I'm like, I don't know that's
like
all
for
that.
An occasion, or
yes,
like a costume party, or or just because you're in your room playing because you're trying to sharpen your skills.
Exactly.
Like you take a few pictures and put on Instagram.
And then
you go wash your face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But there are so many things that I try to just keep like a staple. You want your lashes to look nice, but now sometimes I think people go a little overboard with that. You're outside and your eyelashes are flapping in the wind because they're just so much.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about that because I posted on Facebook or Instagram in my story. I was like, I must have missed the memo somewhere. Where everybody now wears false eyelashes every day for just normal everyday wear, and like these big old long like butterfly lashes. And I'm just like, I could see that as like a maybe like a special occasion thing, but like every day. And so as a makeup artist, you're seeing this and your lashes look beautiful, but they look natural.
Thank you. Oh,
I think that looks kind of crazy with the flapping butterfly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I
don't understand.
I am not.
I mean, it's beautiful.
It is pretty, but like every
I wish
day,
my natural lashes looked like that.
Like I watch these influencers every day. They're taking off these fake eyelashes, and I'm just like, what? Did you go to like a special event? What happened here today? Like,
well, and then you don't appreciate just the natural side of beauty. If you do that, day after day after day. And I have nothing. I think it's beautiful when people do what they want. But that's just not my thing.
Yeah.
So, I also think sometimes the really bold brows, I think it's kind of,
scary.
It can be a little much. It's like.
It can be a little intimidating sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, you want to still.
It's like an emoji.
Right? It's like an emoji. Yeah.
Like you almost were like, ooh. She's got a serious face on today.
Yeah, it can be a little harsh.
Yeah.
So I just like, looking natural, but enhancing that natural look with more like natural color schemes and things like that.
Like I wouldn't know that you were wearing makeup necessarily, except that you have a little bit of lipstick on. You obviously have some eyeshadow and some mascara. The rest of it looks like your natural skin.
Thank you. Yeah.
So like to me, that's my aesthetic right there. Yeah. Whenever I see it where it's caked on really heavy, like, that's great. Some people need it. I don't deny
Some people want it to be like that's the way
I personally
feel. Yeah, they feel most comfortable that way.
It feels like there's something. If I put it on too thick or I use the wrong brand or the wrong type, it feels like I've put like a layer of plastic on my face.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No, there's
feeling.
always those days whenever you're like going to a wedding or some special event, and so like you do the like full face and all the stuff. By the end of the day, you're like, get this off of me.
Like I can peel it down.
I just,
so pull this off.
Yeah. Do you do the airbrush makeup?
I do.
Oh, really?
I do that as well. Yeah, and that's a really great look. It's very long wearing, so especially like here in the Texas heat and all that we have here,
humidity in the summertime.
If your skin's really oily, airbrush is a really good option. So I do that as well. And now when I apply airbrush, it's not eyeshadow that I apply. I don't do the airbrush eyeshadow. I can get a more
foundation.
I can get a more precise look with just your typical eyeshadow I always use an eye primer. That's like my staple. But the foundation is what I use for the airbrush look. Okay. So, I do that as well, and I love it. It's, I mean, I've had to have found what's worked and what hasn't, all that kind of stuff. But I love that as well.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of get into a more businessy question, since this is a small business podcast. And you don't have to like give specific numbers, only say whatever you're comfortable saying. But like when you start a makeup artist business, I'm sure that there's an investment that goes into it. You've got to buy the tools, the makeup, to have to do, because I assume you have to provide makeup. Some clients probably bring some to you, but so what kind of startup would somebody be looking at in addition, pretend cosmetology school is not part of that startup cost. Like obviously that's a thing if you're going to be licensed, but like if you want to assemble an arsenal of tools, what does that look like on the financial end?
So, gosh, I really can't answer that question as well as I would like to. And here's why.
Because you probably collected over time.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to me working at the makeup store. I'm telling you, that was like such a blessing. So working there, I was able to get makeup at like half the cost. I mean, she was so kind. Her name is Allison Smith. She's just such a sweet person. So she would let me purchase items at the same cost that she would get them at.
That's nice.
And so I was able to build up my makeup kit from that, which even as a licensed cosmetologist, a lot of makeup lines do not offer discounts. I mean, there's some that do, but a lot of them don't. So you have to buy a lot of your items at full price. So anyways, it can get very, very pricey.
Well, especially if like you've got,
several
40 shades in this certain kind of foundation, and you've got to have whatever you need on hand for whatever client.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot. So you learn a lot of like, I mix colors a lot, which is it's so nice because you'll run out during the day, if you're doing a lot of girls, and then you have to just mix and come up with different colors. So I've learned to do that. But when you're buying foundation at like $40, $50 a foundation, it gets really pricey.
Really
so
pricey.
I have kind of learned to do that, but I started out with just collecting, and that's how you do it. You just collect a little bit at a time, and that evolves into like your whole kit. And then when you run out of something, you buy it a little bit at a time. But it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So do you to encompass the entire shade range of skin tones, do you buy several different types and then, like you were saying, just mix the colors together to get more specific colors? Because I can't imagine how expensive it would be to have every shade
of every
your favorite foundation.
That's when you really need to start doing those. You start a YouTube channel, start doing tutorials, and get people to send you what are the
PR boxes.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just went blank. Yeah.
The PR boxes
so
where you get all
for free. Get it all for free.
Gosh, I don't know how people can juggle like doing that too. So I am the woman that goes and does the service, but I'm also the woman that goes and I'm in contact with my clients, booking the appointments, buying the makeup that I'm out of every week.
You're a one-woman show. You do it all.
Just juggling all of that, it can sometimes be like, oh my gosh, how does somebody do that as well? A YouTube channel. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be a lot.
It's a full-time job, I think.
Oh yeah. And
absolutely.
see, I'm having to also, like when y'all talked about the foundation, so I told you I do traditional foundation applications, but then airbrush as well. So I am buying the foundation for the traditional and the airbrush. So I have to keep that in stock too. And I do all. I do African American. I do Caucasian. I do all races.
Yeah.
So I'm having to buy every shade range. So it does. It gets to be a lot, but.
So when people complain, makeup, getting your makeup done costs so much, that's why.
Yeah, exactly why.
Expertise and the cost of goods.
The skill and the cost of,
It's not, makeup is not cheap,
and
y'all.
the time. Makeup.
Quality makeup.
Good makeup takes time, too.
Yeah, and you've got to bring all your tools, your brushes and when I go to, I go to locations all the time, for most of the time for weddings. So I have to bring my chair because venues never have the right chair for a makeup artist.
No,
they always have this low chair, and you're
stooped over, hunched over like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
So I bring my chair so my back isn't killing me. I have to bring like my case and my table and all the tools that I need. So it gets to me.
And then it's not over after that because then you have to clean it all.
Oh gosh,
when you get home before you use it on the next.
So do you have separate brushes that you're cycling through when you have to clean things? Like how does that work on a sanitary level?
So I am taking all of my brushes with me, and after I use them, I'll just put them in a little pile that are dirty brushes, and then whenever I get home or, throughout the week and I have a little free time, I'll clean my brushes for the next week of doing another wedding party. So and of course I use like lip applicators. I never put it in there and apply it on your lips. It's always an applicator that I use, and I toss that whenever I'm done.
Yeah.
Q-tips and all that good stuff. So
because that can get really pricey if you're having to use a whole different set of things.
Little stuff,
on every single client.
It definitely can.
I had a brain aneurysm just now, a stroke. I had a question I was going to ask you, and it just went right out of my head. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Oh boy, I need some more coffee today. Sorry guys. So take us through from start to finish. You show up at a wedding and say maybe you've just been hired to do the bride. What is it? How long is that process? At start to finish, like sitting them down and going full face makeup and then hair if you have to do that on top of it. And which one do you do first?
Okay, so I do makeup first, and the reason why is because usually you're having to move hair out of the face to get to the face.
Right.
So I always tell the bride, and hair's gonna fall before makeup will move. So I always do the makeup first. And so what I'll do is I'll get there. I try to get there a little bit early and unpack. And then as far as after I get that done, I see kind of, what look are you going for? I love getting a picture. That just, and then I can talk about like, okay, do you like this color lip, and do you like that shimmer on the lid, and that sort of thing. And so then that'll take me about an hour to do makeup. So, and I do the lashes, I'll do all of that. And then from there, if I'm doing their hair, that'll take me about 45 minutes. Hair doesn't quite take as long. And then usually what I do is I take my lipstick, and I have these little containers that I'll give them lipstick to touch up with later, so that whenever I leave, they'll have fresh lips, things like that. But and then I typically am not just doing the bride. I'm typically there to do the whole bridal party. Yeah.
So you're looking at like an hour to 2 hours per person.
Yes, but if I'm doing a whole bridal party, I cannot do their hair and makeup. I have
you have to bring somebody to help you.
Yeah, I have to bring somebody to help me. Or sometimes they'll have like their hairstylist that they've been, already they've had us for years, so they'll have that person come or whatever it may be. I have a girl that she does bridal hair and makeup or hair at the salon, and she'll come with me. So we work together a lot. But so yeah, I'll usually have about 6 to 8 girls in a wedding party. That's pretty typical. Any more than that, and I have to bring somebody to help me, because then we run into, we need to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's just a little too early. So I'll bring somebody.
A lot for
yes, because typically pictures, if they're doing a first look, it's going to start really early in the afternoon if their wedding is set for like say 6 p.m. So you have to have all that stuff ready and done by like noon. Or 1 o'clock.
Just do like we did at my wedding and just be totally late for everything. I'm like, what are they going to do? Start without me?
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, I know.
I've been to a few like that. I mean, it's what it is.
So I have a quick question.
Sure.
We talked about your picture, the bride bringing you a picture or somebody. So I know that there's different, and I'm sure a whole lot more about this than I do, but like there's different types of like shadow and contouring and thing that look better for different like eye shapes. Like I have hooded eyes for, I can't do the cat eye because it just folds in half and it just looks weird. Like it doesn't work, So has there ever been like an instance, when somebody brought you something you were like, this is not going to work for you? Or do you just do it?
No, I always try to give my best advice. Like if somebody's going to show me something, especially if it's like super dark and heavy for a wedding day, I'm like, like that's fine. If that's what you want to do, I'll totally do it. But I want to tell them like, you want to look bright and glowing and happy and not super, super weighed down with makeup, So I'll tell them, definitely like, hey, what if we do this? Kind of change this up instead. What do you think about it? And I will try to find a picture of like me doing what I'm talking about and give them that, because a lot of the times they don't know. They're very, and it's I see weddings so much. And they obviously, a lot of them haven't been married before, so they're like, "Well, what do you think? Like, tell me your advice." And they like hearing that. So I do try to give my best advice when it comes to that sort of thing. So
and you can always add more. Like you can do the natural first, and if they don't like it, then you can add the dark on top of it.
You can always add more.
I'll always say that, and I'll say, hey, I would suggest this lip color for you and your eye color and the jewelry that you're wearing, and this will kind of pull it all together. But if you want to go darker, if you want to change it, we can always do that. It's not gonna, but to go darker and then try to lighten it, that's where you run into some problems.
So what, as a makeup artist, and I'm sure having played around with all kinds of different brands, what are some of your favorites that you really like using?
So I love Tarte. They have some really good products, and that's actually what I use in foundation on my brides with the traditional foundation. It's real creamy, and it's real pretty as far as like the coverage, but it's not too heavy. So I really like their foundation. I do like ColourPop. It's a really great brand that's
inexpensive.
Very inexpensive, and it's really underrated.
It really is. Yeah. They have some really pretty stuff. So I use a lot of their products, and I like to try to tell people about products that you don't have to spend a ton of money to get. Like some products you're gonna want to spend more money on, but things like
the thing I like the primer, foundation, like the things that are going to go on my face.
Right. Yes. That's
like
where you want to spend your money.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
But I'll buy a $1.50 Wet n Wild highlighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can transition that to an eyeshadow. And
yeah.
there's
yeah.
so many variables that each product can be used for. If you just play with it. It's not all the same.
You don't have to be what's on the box.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to. You can use eyeshadow as blush.
Yeah.
If you run out of your color that you just find something else.
It's all transitional.
Yeah.
It really is. My favorite mascara is Maybelline. I just love, it says lots of lashes on the tube.
I use the Full and Soft. I've been using it since high school. Like, I don't think I'd ever use it. If they ever discontinue it, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yes. It's like, oh, no. But you don't have to, I've tried the expensive mascaras, and I'm like, oh, gosh, they're just not my thing.
I mean, there's the Essence brand from Ulta, the Lash Princess. It's like $5.
Yeah.
And boy, you can look like you almost have false lashes on if you put
Exactly.
enough coats of that stuff on there. So it doesn't, I mean, probably not the most longest wearing mascara I've ever used. But like right now, I think I have on the L'Oreal Telescopic because I had seen somebody talking about it, and I had gotten a little sample in my Ipsy bag.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think it's like $8.99 at Target. And yeah, that's pretty good. Like, it's, you don't have to, like you said, spend a ton of money. But I have had the pleasure of having an Ipsy subscription for many, many years. And it has really opened me up to brands that I never even knew existed.
And I have had the pleasure of being your friend that you
Recipient
go, I don't want this. Here, you try it.
They'll send me a really bad color for my skin tone. And I'll be like, I can't wear this. I'm a summer color person, and you're more of a fall color person.
I'm a pale person.
And I can give it to her, and she'll be like, yes, this will look great on me.
Great, thanks.
And I don't really do contouring, so like anytime I got a bronzer or something, I'd be like, here you go.
I know. I'm down to the pan on the last one you gave me.
That is so funny. I did BoxyCharm. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
I did that one for a while, and gosh, I just had so much. I was consuming way too much makeup that I couldn't use even with putting it on other people, because I would buy my own. I had all this other stuff that I already had.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I got to call it quits for a little bit, but I kind of miss it. It's so much fun. It's like Christmas.
I upgraded to the Plus box because I wanted to start getting like a little higher quality items, and so we'll see how that goes. But awesome. I've seen a lot of things, with makeup people, and I follow some people on TikTok, and I've tried to follow a wide range of styles, but I did find this one woman. She's a little older than me, and so I'm in my 40s, and some of the trends don't really work for us older people. And her big thing was, really good skincare, making sure you've taken care of your skin, sunscreen application, then primer, like a facial primer, which when I was in my 20s, I was like, sunscreen primer, what? Right. And now, those are my staples.
Slather some baby oil on me and lay out in the sun.
Right. Because that's what matters.
Because we were stupid back then.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're doing makeup, do you start at the sunscreen level, or do you start at the primer level because you assume that they've already done the skincare part?
Yes, I do not do, because you don't want to put anything extra on, because especially like a sunscreen or something like a more
oily and heavy.
Yes, the oily, or you want it to stick. You want their makeup. That's really the point, is making it stay.
Especially on a special occasion, you want it to.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't do that. I don't put any, and with a creamy foundation, I don't put a primer under their foundation. I do, because it creates that that friction between their skin and I want their foundation to stick just directly to their skin. I don't want it to slide. But I love eye primer. I don't know if y'all use an eye primer, but it's
I just use a little bit of
I got it in my Ipsy bags.
Whatever's left on my beauty blender.
And
a little bit of foundation. And
that will act as a primer.
Yeah.
But I use.
I have oily eyelids, so I have to.
Yeah.
I know that sounds.
Oh,
weird.
you're gonna have creases all in your eyelids.
That's
not a.
I always start with a white, not necessarily white, but like a pale.
Yeah.
Shadow. Like I put on a little bit of and then I put a little bit of pale shadow, and then I start what I'm gonna do, because you've got that foundation to help blend. With
your makeup looks beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Most of the time I'm like, is it blended enough? I'm just gonna, and I just blend it into nothing.
Hey,
like you just can't tell.
Yes,
like I'm so worried it's not blended. I'm just like, meh.
I just don't want to look like Mimi from. Do you remember what was that? The Jim Carrey, the Drew Carey, not Jim Carrey,
the Drew Carey
show, and she had that like electric blue eyeshadow.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm just like, I just don't want to look like that because I feel like I would look like a cartoon character, and I already am kind of cartoonish, so I don't want to look like it on my face.
That is funny. Yes.
Yeah. So you don't use a primer really?
I don't on the face. No.
Because I've seen a lot of people talk about the the silicone based ones or the sticky the ones that are more like a sticky primer that really are supposed to grip primer. That's what it's called. Yeah. And so I was so confused about all that until like a year ago. Like I like, what's a primer? Why do I need to use this? What's going on? I kept getting them in my Ipsy bag. Like, what do I do? What do I do with this?
Well, if I was to use just like a powder foundation, I would definitely.
Which is what I used to use.
Okay. Yeah. So with something like that, yes, but I don't. So therefore, my foundation kind of acts as a primer.
Has a primer in it.
And then I will put powder on top of it. So that kind of helps
lock it in.
Yep, it locks it in. But,
so you create these amazing looks for people, and then at the end of the day, they got to take them off. What do you recommend as the best way to go about doing that?
Well,
because I've seen there's no consensus on how to do it correctly. It seems like
like how to take it all off.
Yeah, how do you take it off and have not, because if you wear a full face of makeup every day, and you can definitely be at risk for developing acne and things like that. So how do you do it in a way to keep yourself from having that issue?
Yeah. So I love have y'all ever tried Philosophy skincare? I really like their.
It's a little out of my budget.
No, it's really affordable. Like they have
really?
a cleanser. Yes, it's called Purity, and it's a cleanser that will take off eye makeup and everything, and it does not burn your eyes. Like that is, I can't stand to take my makeup off and my eyes to be just like red and inflamed afterwards, because I want to get it when I cannot sleep with makeup on. When I'm ready to go to bed, I got to get it all off, and so that's what I use. I'll just take the cleanser and I'll take all my makeup off, and then I definitely moisturize afterwards. So
do you use any kind of like makeup pad or cotton ball to take your makeup off and not a washcloth, or do you do it with your fingers?
I do it with my hands.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. See, no, there's no consensus. I don't think that's wrong. No, I have seen a gamut of.
I use baby oil to take off my eye makeup because I use waterproof mascara, and then.
So why do you use waterproof mascara? Do your eyes?
Because I curl my lashes.
Okay.
Because I wear glasses, and if I don't curl my lashes, they touch my glasses and it tickles and drives me crazy. So so if non-waterproof mascara will straighten them out after you curled them. So I'll use waterproof, and then I just use baby oil to take it off.
That's perfect.
And baby at the Target, I know you're not supposed to use baby wipes on your face, but the Target brand sensitive skin baby wipes, the ingredients are purified water and chamomile.
Okay.
So I use baby oil and baby wipes to take off my makeup.
And then you have baby wipes with being a mom.
When I need them, yeah.
So I fell into one of those advertising traps on Facebook of those little cleansing discs that are like that you can use instead of makeup wipes, because apparently those are supposed to be super terrible for your skin. I don't know. I'm older, so I'm having to worry about these things more,
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it works. It's more gentle than a washcloth, but you don't have all the chemical stuff in it because of the makeup wipe, and it really does. And then the micellar water that everybody's talking about, and then I can finish up with that. And then obviously have a nighttime skin routine that I do in order to not have as many wrinkles as I probably should.
We try every day, don't we?
I need to do a little bit more of that. I'm starting, my like crow's feet are starting to I'm like, I don't think there's any going back now.
I got this deep cut right here in my forehead, about like between my eyes, that like it's probably never going away, but that is like the biggest like wrinkle.
Yes,
that face I make all the time. It's just like, So yeah.
That face you make when you have 3 kids.
That face you make.
That is so funny.
Or a husband who acts like a child. So that's interesting, because in the makeup world, I don't feel like there's really any set of rules. Like there's some people that fall into this camp, and then some that fall into this camp.
There's so many different products, and there's so many different types of skin, and there's so many different like. How much time do you have? There's like, so it's whatever works for you. Like there's so many, as long as you're not like, pulling and scraping and like, hurting yourself.
Right. overdoing it. Overdoing it. Yeah. And that's kind of why there are so many skin types and different. Yeah. That's kind of why I focus on makeup and not skincare as much. I like just kind of staying in that zone, because I feel like if I was to try to get off into skincare, then there's so many. I feel
like the variables there are even greater.
Yeah. So I kind of I know the basics of skincare as far as what I need to use on an oily person's skin versus a dry person's skin, with makeup and all that kind of stuff. But as far as skincare goes, I'm not as knowledgeable in that aspect.
Well, you're only doing this is for one day.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, not every day.
Yes.
You're not trying to find their skincare, because then you're genetics and environmental factors and what are they eating, and there's so many
You need a whole other professional for that.
Exactly. You do. Yeah. And I could. I mean, that interests me a little bit, but not near as much as the whole makeup look,
artistic part of it.
Yes, the artistic part. Yeah.
Well, what advice would you have for somebody who is maybe interested in starting in this field or this industry? What would you tell them?
I would say, make sure it's a passion, because I think a lot of people sometimes think of it as I'm going to do this because it sounds easy and it sounds, fun and that sort of thing. And you can't have that in your mind.
You're just going to end up doing the same thing on everybody, and you're not going to be successful at it.
Well, yeah. And I think you have to love people. Obviously that's really the whole, you have to love people and interacting with people, and I think,
and have a personality where you can
mix
well with a bunch of different other personalities.
I think that opens up so many doors for you whenever you do love people, and that kind of shows. So make sure you have a passion for it, and then from there learn kind of what do you want to do. I know that I didn't really want to do Halloween type makeup and that sort of thing. I like making
special effects type.
That's not my skill set.
So you found a niche that you really wanted to stay within.
Yeah, I like making people feel pretty and good about themselves, and enhancing what they already have. I'm not into the tattoo styled makeup, all that sort of thing. So find what you love in the makeup world and kind of zone in on that. So
it's such a varied world. There's so
oh my gosh.
Yeah, how do you set yourself apart from all the other people in the area that, is there something that you do a little differently than, say, some of the other more, as notable makeup artists in the area? Can you think of anything that you might do besides having that more natural, just enhanced look?
I think that's what it is. I mean, that's what I hear people when they come to me. They say, I like how, you still make me look like me, but just a little bit more of an enhanced version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rather than a lot of women just don't want to be like a totally different person. They still, and it's so funny because their husbands or fiancés will say, I want you to look like yourself, So I think they value that, and they, want that sort of look. You don't want
to look back at 20 years later at your wedding pictures and go, gosh,
I look like I was going to go act on a stage in a theater production.
I want to look like you,
Right, yeah. I think that is kind of how
I would definitely describe you as a more naturally looking makeup artist. Your look is more natural but enhanced. Because you recently did, I think, the makeup from a friend of mine, Takesha.
Yes.
And she had some pictures made.
So
and
sweet.
she, we went to high school together. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, she did a good job picking Kellsey. Because, you probably, out of everybody I know of in the area who does makeup, have the most natural looking makeup. And not this overly... I can look at the person and see, oh, they got makeup on today. Whereas you, other than the lipstick and the mascara and the little bit of eyeshadow, you don't look like you have makeup on. So I love that. I love that idea. So I do think that having those little lanes that, everybody's in and they do different looks, you can have multiple choices. Some people in town, they do that more, special effects or a more enhanced, very bold look.
Yeah, which is always fun for, for different occasions. And that's...
If somebody wants me to do that, I'm all about it. I like that. But I think my specialty is more of doing more of a natural
and
look.
Especially if you're doing a wedding day makeup, I mean, like you said, you you want the husbands to be able to look at their
Yes,
bride coming down the aisle and go,
yeah.
that's the woman I asked to marry me,
and
not somebody else.
Yeah.
So
Who is that girl? I don't know that. Yeah, that's
what happened there? Because, as we said earlier, makeup can transform someone's face and make it look completely different.
Yeah.
So, what advice did you get when you were getting started? Because you've talked about working at the makeup store, and maybe this is included in that answer. What advice did you get in the beginning that really helped you kind of solidify this journey for you?
Gosh, that's really hard.
I mean, there may not be any one thing, but
I know. I don't know that it is any one thing. I think I just to really listen to people. I think a lot of people try to put on their clients what they want. Well, this is what I think you should do. So to listen to others and to hear kind of what they want or where they want their focus to be on their face and that sort of thing. I think that's really valuable lessons that I've kind of learned along the way, and I can't really think of anything that I've kind of been taught. I mean, I'm gonna leave here and be like, well, duh, that should have been my answer. But
sorry, I'll have to have you back again later.
Right. I'll update y'all with that.
Message me later, and I can slip it in there.
That's a really cool thing to be able to do, because you're right. A lot of people do. They go in and they're like, okay, this is, and if that's what the client is asking for, then absolutely, I don't know anything about makeup. Make me pretty. Okay, do whatever you want.
Yeah, and there are people that want that.
Right. But if somebody's coming in and they're like we talked about earlier, they have a picture and you're like, okay, that's pretty, but let's talk about this, and then you listen to what they want, what they're going. I mean, to be able to have that communication with a makeup artist, especially on a day like your wedding day,
right,
is a very valuable thing.
Yes, because sometimes I will not have met the girl until that very moment. I mean, so to listen to her and what she has to say and what she wants. And sometimes they'll tell me the total opposite, like, this is what I do not want. And so then I have to kind of navigate through that. Mm-hmm. But when I'm just meeting them on the day of, you have to listen.
To be able to listen to people and have that, be able to interpret that and have, that's a really good skill to have. Yeah.
And not just go in and do what you think they should have on.
Are there any stereotypes kind of like that you've run into, or that you've had to educate people on, that people seem to have a preconceived idea about makeup artistry, that you've kind of had to, hey, that's really not how this is?
Yeah.
Is there anything like that?
I think that happens a lot. And I think, too, personality sometimes. People think, I'm going to judge people because I have, this is my job. Never, ever. I think everybody's beautiful in their own way. So... Yeah.
I think dealing with, for me personally, when I've gone to, to get a refreshed makeup look, I there's a little bit of insecurity there that the person's going to look at me and go, God, they've got terrible skin, or, she's got this weird mole here. And I know that's not probably what y'all are thinking, but I feel like that probably, for a lot of women, that could be the hesitant thing that keeps them from going and asking. So what would you say to a woman who hasn't gone and gotten their makeup professionally done, and they're kind of afraid of what that, stepping into a salon and sitting down in your chair and having you evaluate their face.
Right? Yeah. Having somebody else pick you apart like you do.
No. That is one thing that I never want people to do ever. It almost makes me sad to think that people feel that way, because I'm a woman too. I look at myself every day in the mirror and I think oh man, I got this little flaky spot on my face. I gotta I gotta get rid of, I gotta exfoliate and but gosh, I'm looking at, oh my gosh, look at your beautiful eyebrows and your lips, and but I think that's kind of the way my brain works a lot. I'm never
looking at somebody to pick out the parts that you want to, the good parts that you want to enhance and make.
Yeah.
And we're our own worst critics.
We are all the time as women. Always. We always do that, and that's the one thing. Whenever a woman sits in my chair and she starts talking like that, I'm like, girl, you gotta quit that, because that is not what I see at all. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing, now maybe I want to pluck at this little brow that's out of place, and I do that for my clients all the time. I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I pluck your brows, just to clean up, because your eyeshadow will go on so much smoother if those brows are not in the way.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I would never look at somebody and think like, oh my gosh, look at her crooked tooth or whatever. There's nothing like that I see ever. I think that kind of stuff is the beauty behind what makes us who we are. So
yeah,
and this is only to enhance. If you've got a crappy personality, you can have all the greatest makeup on in the world. You're still gonna have a crappy personality.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, I do think that for me, I just have this, because that's a world I'm not familiar with, and like it's taken me, and I'm 41 years old. It's taken me until just the last like year or two to figure out like how to properly put makeup on and make it look, not like I just like child painted my face, So like that's an intimidating world for me, and it's not a world I'm comfortable in. I don't know how to fix my hair to save my life. Like it just, whatever happens that day is how it's gonna look.
And God bless
it's an intimidating world for me to walk into a salon. Personally, I always just get a little bit, just a little nervous because it's like, and it's ridiculous, I know, but like I think there are quite a few women out there like that that's not the world they're comfortable in,
right?
And so it's a hesitant thing, and I feel like more than anything else, that's probably one of the stereotypes that comes to mind for me, is that there's all these like beautiful glamorous women working in this salon, and I look like a slug walking in.
Girl, don't even start with your cheekbones and that jawline that
I do have amazing cheekbones. I don't have to contour those. Like, thank my Native American heritage.
And I'm trying to contour away my double chin over here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're ridiculous.
I think a lot of people probably, my older sister I was doing her hair the other day, and she was telling me like, oh gosh, I don't know like how people come in, and she was saying the same thing you are, like, this is so intimidating to walk in here and I don't know anything. I'm like, no, that's what we're here.
That's why you're paying these professionals.
It's such a blessing to be able to have a skill set that you can send with somebody else, And even if you don't like learn, obviously you're never going to learn, because that's not where your headspace is. You're never going to learn kind of what as an artist we know, but to be able to send a little bit of information to somebody and
this
help
kind
them.
of foundation works really well on my skin.
Yes.
Or like this color eyeshadow makes my eyes really pop. Like little things like that you can walk away from.
Yeah, okay. And that's all.
Incorporate that into your daily routine.
Exactly. You don't have to know it all, and that's okay. Just a few little things. Like it's good to be able from my end to be able to send that with somebody. Like, oh, I love Bare Minerals lip colors. They have great lip colors, and my clients will text me later, oh my gosh, I love this lip color on me. What color was it? Like just to be able to show them like, hey, this is easy to apply. This looks really good on you. If you just wear this, it makes you feel good. So it's good to send a little something with
If
somebody.
you were to tell somebody listening, okay, these are the top 3 things. If you're going to walk out your door and you want to have a little bit of confidence, but you don't want to waste your time in doing a bunch of, intensive steps, what are the 3 things that you tell people, okay, use this, this, and this before you walk out the door?
I say definitely mascara. It just opens up your eyes. If you have dark circles, a little bit of concealer just for a little brightness. Lip color, and I'm gonna add one more in there. Just
and if you may not need the lip color because everybody's wearing a mask these days.
Right? So let's change that out. A little bronzer or blush, depending on if you're fair skin, use a little bit of blush. Just add some color. If you want a little, just a little bit of like that bronzy glow, add a little bit of bronzer. But to me, that's so simple. Not everybody needs foundation, and embrace the beauty of just the imperfections of your skin.
Megan, with her beautiful,
with
her beautiful young skin.
I don't know where she got that from. It wasn't from me. Well, Kelsey, you were a delight. I wish we could talk to you for longer.
Thank you so much.
But why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media, in case they want to book your services?
Okay, so I have Instagram, Facebook. I'm not in the TikTok thing yet. I've got to step up my game.
Yeah,
but it's Kellsey Saltzman, Kellsey with 2 L's, Saltzman on Instagram, and I post my personal life. I want you to get to know me, and I have lots of other things I love too. So I'll post like family and that sort of thing on my Instagram page and makeup as well. So you can find me there, and I'm also at Bliss Hair Studio on 94. So I work there during the week and wedding venues on the weekend. So that's where I'm at.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us today.
Yes, thanks for asking me. This has been so much fun.
We'll have to have like a group of people, like photographer, makeup artist, and like talk about that, like a whole industry.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Something for the new year. I'm thinking of new format ideas.
We'll have to try that.
Yes, and yes, I would love that. There's
awesome.
A whole slew of us out there that are just in that industry. It's fun.
Well, guys, thanks so much for listening to us. I hope you guys all have a great day. You should find us on our website at PaynePoints.com. You can listen to all of our podcasts there under the podcast tab. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere really you listen to podcasts. please follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. That's going to wrap us up for today, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.